Hi guys! Today I am going to be using this one flower petal cutter and showing you how to make all of these different variations of flowers. So what are there? There's 12 here. So we're going to go over probably how to make them all unless this just gets really long-winded. But so this cutter has two different petal shapes in 3 different sizes. This is 3, 4, and 5 millimeters tall. And with those 3 sizes, you can just make a bunch of variations of flowers for all of your different slabs or your different earrings. I'm also going to be using this silkscreen, and I'm going to be replacing these little tulips with 3D flowers, and I'm going to make some earrings. I think with this Rochelle cutter here. So for this, I'm going to be using some clay, obviously, and I have made sure that my clay is well conditioned, but not super soft. If it's really soft, when you are forming the petals on your foam board, you are going to get a lot of distortion. It's really hard to work with, so make sure your clay is a little firm, a little dry, but well conditioned and pliable. I've also just got my basic tools. I got my tissue blade. I've got some round tools that I'll use to sort of make the petals a little bigger and turn them into a cup shape. I've got this silicone tool here, and I'm going to be using the ball end of my silicone tool to sort of pick up the petals and stick them together. I've also got some Kato poly paste, and this is just a really thick oven bake adhesive. You can also use, wow, my bottle is really absurd, but the Sculpey oven bake adhesive. I've just got the Kato out because it's a little thicker, so it's not going to run anywhere, and it also cures very, very matte. So if it's showing on the earrings at all, you really won't see it. I've got an acrylic cutter press here, so I can just get nice even pressure on top of my cutters. I've got some little tiny 1 to 1.2 millimeter beads. These are like little plastic caviar beads that I will use in the center of some of my flowers. This one is clay. These are these pre-made caviar beads. You can do either one. I really like kind of doing both and having all of the options. And then a little bit of cornstarch here, and then I also have a foam pad. You can see here's my little petals. I started working on them to form the petals into kind of nice little thin petal shaped cups. Okay, so I have rolled this clay out nice and thin. I used, on my Atlas pasta machine, I used the number 8, and that is the second thinnest setting. I honestly would have used the thinnest setting, but if I do that, the clay gets kind of wiggly looking. It just doesn't seem to work very well. And I used some calipers to measure how thick this is, and it's about 0.7 millimeters, so thinner than a millimeter. It's really thin, and I'm going to cut out my shapes, and then I'm going to take those shapes over onto my foam pad and make them even thinner. So when I do this, you just want to make sure you use some cornstarch, or if you prefer water or soapy water on your cutters, so that the little teeny weeny petals don't get stuck in the cutters. That is ideal. Oh, that one was really satisfying. These remind me of those little candies that we used to get at the grocery store that were just like little pieces of sugar stuck to paper, you know, and then you would eat them and just get a whole bunch of paper in your mouth. Just me? Okay, so I'm going to take these off the glass, and I'm going to bring them over here and put them on my foam. Since there are 3 different sizes, I've been trying to kind of categorize them by size, so I'll just slide them off, and I'll put the 5mm ones in one column and the 4mm ones in another column, and you can see I have a bunch of leftover 3mm ones from when I was making these flowers. So I'm just going to take all of these off of here and put them on my foam pad in large, medium, and small columns. Okay, now I have a whole bunch of little petals, some that are like little heart shapes and some that have a little extra scallop in the center in 3 different sizes all over my little foam pad. I've got a little area on my foam right here that's just got some cornstarch on it, and I just kind of keep that there because if my clay is really sticky with this clay really isn't, but if it is, you can just kind of dab the ball tool in your cornstarch. You don't want to get too much on there, so you can just kind of dab it in there when you're working with the petals, and they'll hopefully not stick too bad. So next I'm going to use this ball tool, and I'm going to go around and I'm going to kind of squish these and make them a little bigger and a little thinner and a little bit more cup shaped. So I'm going to zoom in really far and show you kind of what I like to do to help them sort of retain their shape more or less. So I go in and I start from the middle and I just kind of go around in a little circle until it's a bit flatter, and then I take my tool and I push it down and I go in more circles, and then you can see it's more or less retained the shape of the smaller petal right next to it here. But it's bigger, it's thinner, and it's like a little cup now. So that's what we're going to do with all of them. This is going to end up looking kind of like a little heart. This is going to end up looking like, well, I'll show you. It ends up looking like a, I don't know, spiky looking thing. And I will say that you do need to kind of practice this. The amount of pressure that you use on these petals will really determine if they end up getting skewed. Some folks go in and they straight away they just go and they do the thing in the circle, and you can do that. If your clay is a little softer, I find that it does kind of skew the petal a little bit. So that's why I go in and I kind of go from the center to the edges, just kind of pulling from the center, and then I go around and I do circles. You might just have to play around and see what ends up feeling right for you. And you can see this one deformed a little bit, but that's okay because flower petals don't all look the same, and the goal isn't uniformity here in shape, but uniformity in size is a good idea. So you can see this one got a little bigger than this one. I must have pressed a little harder, gone around a few more times. That's why you might have to, you might just have to practice and work on them until you can get a nice uniform-ish size and thickness for all of your petals. So I'm going to move this. So these, the ones I was just showing you, those are the 4mm petals. And these really, really tiny ones are the 3mm petals. Same thing, I just start in the middle, and you can't really see it because it's under the ball tool, but I'm sticking it in the center and I'm pressing down, I'm going out, and then I'm just going around. And these are so small that the heart one ends up basically just looking like a bit of a triangle. The other one ends up looking like a, well, that one kind of looks like a cat. I'm not sure. But with the smallest ones, you can expect that they'll look like, they'll retain that little scallop even less. And these are the 5mm. And these are the ones that you actually have to be the most careful with because it's really easy to skew the bigger ones. So same, I'm just starting in the center, pressing around in a circle until I've got it kind of, you know, kind of thinned out a little bit. And then I'll go around. And that's what I ended up with there. And then I'll do one of the, I don't know, scalloped shapes. I also would like to mention that if I sit down and do these today, they'll look like this. If I do this very same thing tomorrow, they'll look a little different because I will be feeling differently and I'll put a different amount of pressure on the clay. Oh no, I'm not paying attention. So if you are going to make a bunch of flowers and you want them to look relatively uniform, oh, that one got all messed up because I stuck it to the other one. Goodbye. I would recommend that you take the time to sit down and do all of your petals kind of at once, because if you don't, they'll probably end up looking a little different tomorrow based on just how you're feeling. So I'm going to take the time to go through all of these and try to make enough petals to recreate one of each of these. And for some of these I did use 2 colors, so I'll probably roll out a lighter pink and cut those out and do those as well. This lighter pink is a lot softer than this pink over here, so I just wanted to kind of point out how much easier it is to kind of squish it, go too thin, and end up with a skewed result, like a really funky looking petal. So depending on the consistency of your clay, you might have to press a little harder or go much softer. I'm going very soft with these to try to keep them kind of consistent looking as I work with them. And even still, I'm not really succeeding in some cases, but I'm too impatient and I don't want to leach this. So the first one that I'm going to do is this one on the top left, and it is 5 petals. So you can make it of any of these, but I'm just going to make it out of the 4mm size. Okay, so I'm going to use the ball end of this little silicone tool to sort of press into the very center of the petal, and I'm actually going to just rotate my wrist and go around and pick up more petals and let it grow on the end of this tool. So there's multiple shapes and you can just let it be random, or you could pick up all of one shape, or you could just do whatever you want. I'm just going to kind of let it be random, I think. So I'm going to offset this one a little bit, and I'm just going to press it down and pick up another petal. And next I'll pick up another one and it'll go, well, I guess I'll just do it. I'll show you. So I've got the third one lined up. Now I'm just gonna press down, trying to keep the spacing about even. Now I've got 3 petals, and then I'm probably gonna twist around and get 2 more petals. There's that one. Maybe we'll do this one because it seems kind of big. I like that. And then, oh, I can't get the right angle. There we go. There. So you've built a flower. It's just on your ball tool. 5 petals just in a circle, and then wherever you're going to want to set them, you can either, hopefully it'll stick to the clay you stick it to, or let me show you. I've got some little, these are just little pieces of raw clay, and I'm sticking some adhesive on there just to make them really sticky. So sometimes when I do this, if I just press down, it will adhere, and sometimes it just really wants to stay stuck to this. So I just have a secondary tool that is apparently not anywhere near me. I just have a secondary tool. You can use a pin, you can use a piece of a tool with silicone just to sort of gently dislodge the petals from the ball tool. So I want it to be in a really nice grid, so I'm just going to put it over there. Okay, great. So you can see the little petals, they go around in a little circle. And when I made this one, I just put a little clay ball in the center, so I'm going to do that again. So I made my little clay ball, and I've just got a little adhesive, and I'm just going to kind of roll it in it to make it kind of sticky. Just so I don't have to press super hard when I stick that inside the flower, and it will adhere easily on its own and I don't have to squish it. So this is the next one we're going to do. It's got 6 of the 4mm all around the outside, and then 3 of the 2mm in the same color on the inside, and then again a little clay center that I kind of squished down when I put that in there. So we're going to put the petals up in the same fashion as when I did the 5. I'm just going to aim for 6. So I'm just going to go around and pick those up. 1, 2, 3. 4. I feel like I'm not doing it spaced out enough. 5. 6. That one looks okay. Then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put it, you don't need to put them on little tiny circles, by the way. I'm just doing that because you would usually put these on a slab or something, and that's not what we're doing. So I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to do basically the same thing, but I'm going to grab some of the smaller ones. I'm going to do 3. So 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, 3. I thought one fell off, but it didn't. And then I'm just going to press that right in the very center. Of course it's not coming off, obviously. That would be too easy. And when I made this one, I assembled it, and then I kind of went around and I sort of squished the petals in a little bit to give them kind of like a bent in, kind of gentle, soft look. And I'm just gonna stick this little center in here and squish it down a little. Cute. So this next one is 6 petals of any size, and you assemble 3 and then 3 again. You can see the back. 3 again, and then just stick them one on top of the other with the little beads in the center. So I'm going to do these with the 5mm. I mean, obviously they're not 5mm anymore, but they were 5 in the beginning. And I think I'll do 3 scalloped ones and then 3 sort of heart-shaped ones. Okay, there's my first 3. Okay, now I'm going to grab 3 of the heart-shaped ones. Trying to get them relatively, you know, angled right so they look like they're about the same angle and distance away from each other. And then I'm going to put this in here so that the top ones are sitting right between the 2 bottom ones. The top one, bottom one's there. Cute. So I've got 3 of these little micro beads and a little bit of oven bake adhesive, and I'm just going to kind of coat them in the oven bake adhesive so that it adheres to my little flower. They actually do adhere to the polymer clay pretty well on their own without that, but I just want to make sure that, okay, now they're sticking to everything that they shouldn't. Just want to make sure it doesn't come out once baked. Put those in there, get those sorted in the center. Cute. Okay, this one is another layered one, and it has 6 of the 5mm on the outside and 6 of the 3mm on the inside, and I did them in the same color, but you can, you can do the inside ones in a different color if you want. It's pretty similar to this one. It's just got more flowers in the center. There's just more going on there. I just had to stop and make that one a little bigger because it just wasn't really proportional with the rest of the flower. Look how cute! The next one is this one. It's just 3 little petals. This next one is also 3, but they are all kind of in the top half of this sort of semicircle. This one's really nice if you are going to do something like this and you have a stem coming out of the bottom. So the ones on the outside here, it's the 3 petals. And you grab the 2 that are in the front first, and then the back one is the top one. Oh lordy, I had to squish it a little. It fought me, but we got there. So this is another 5-petal flower. We did a 5-petal flower first, but as I picked those up, I just kind of went all around in a circle and they each stacked right behind the others. But for this one, I picked up these 3 and then I stuck 2 on the back in the gaps. It's just a more sort of like a more whimsical, maybe a more relaxed looking flower, I think. This next one is probably the one that I do the most often, and there are 5 5mm around the outside and 3 3mm in the center. And I built it the same way that I did with the very first one that we did. I just picked them up overlapping, going around, and I'll show you. This next one is just like this one where we did the 3 and they all kind of point up, except it's 3 of the 5mm and 3 of the 3mm. So it's kind of more of the same, just a little bit of layering, and honestly I think just a totally different look when it's all finished. This is a really great example of what happens when you do flowers 3 days apart because I made these 3 days ago and I made these today, and how hard I pressed on each of them really changed the scale, and I kind of like the one that I made 3 days ago, so I think I'm going to remake this one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to use slightly larger 5mm ones so that there's more of a size difference between the petals. Okay, this one's better, but they're still not identical. So the lesson to remember here is to just make all of your petals and your flowers at the same time if you're going to make more than one, so that you can really get a consistent look on both of your earrings if what you're making is earrings. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is this 4-petal flower here, and I'm going to do both sides and then top and bottom. And then this one's really similar, but it is so these are all the 4mm petals, and this one has the 5mm on the outside and then 3 of 3 on the inside. So it's that 4-petal pattern and then 3 on the inside. So again, just two totally different, I think totally different looks with a really similar configuration. This is the last one. I really like this one. It has 3 of the 5mm and 2 to the side and then 1 pointing up. And in the front is 3 of the 3mm, 2 to the side and 1 pointing down. Kind of looks like an orchid or a pansy, I think. So I used the silkscreen on this blue, and I cut out some 3mm petals with something between translucent and white, and I decided to do like this type of flower where it's 5 petals and they're kind of like natural looking for these little flower spots. I'm just going to use a little bit of oven bake adhesive on all of these little flowers so that I don't have to press the flowers onto the clay very hard. I do want to mention also that you don't have to assemble the whole flower all in one go on your ball tool or whatever tool you're using to grab the petals. You can also just grab a petal and put it on your slab and go one by one. It's a nice way to slow it down a little bit if you want to really look at your design a little bit closer. So I'll just do a simple 5-petal flower that way. So you can just lay them one by one. Here, let me zoom in a little. Excuse me. You can just lay them one by one, and let's see, let's go down here. Worry a little less about picking them up in a very specific manner. A lot of people prefer this method. It's a really great way to go. That was just kind of 5 petals in sort of a 2 in the back, 3 in the front kind of configuration. And you know, here's 5 petals. This is a bigger size. I'm just going to go around in a counterclockwise kind of manner. A lot of times this is easier, and you can really slow it down and you can see what you're building as you go I think I do the other method because honestly, I think I'm just kind of impatient. And I think it's just a little faster for my brain, but both of these are really great options. So I just wanted to bring this up and mention this as a sort of a secondary way that you can build your flowers. Same thing, same configurations, but one petal at a time. Here are those earrings out of the oven, and I put some UV resin on the top. I actually couldn't help myself, so I just made another one, another set as well. So that is all of the possible little flowers that I could think of to make with just this one cutter. I hope this has helped you feel a little bit more confident about your flower assembly. And of course you can do these flowers with really any petal cutter, these flower arrangements with really any petal cutter or just a circle cutter. So I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration for your floral projects. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. Thanks, bye.